Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier, and thank you kindly for stopping by. I wrote that piece over the weekend about the King Dollar. I stand by that, although we're seeing quite a strong move in the euro today. Mindspeak, if you haven't seen the Mindspeak session, Matters Financial and all kinds of things like oil warfare, do take a look. Achi Carroll tweeted Throwback Thursday with Jaguar XK120, and what a wonderful car she tweeted a photograph of. And on that note, I'll put up a photograph of boys and their toys. That was when I got to drive a Jaguar around Johannesburg and thoroughly enjoyed myself. The edge, there is no honest way to explain, because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who have gone over. That's Hunter S. Thompson. I feel like a panther these days looking for Paul Virilio's escape velocity. On that note, I'll put up an image of a panther by Cartier. They did make wonderful panthers, didn't they? Political reflections. Obviously, it's not entirely clear what has happened in Ukraine. President Petro Poroshenko, I'll put up a photograph of him being followed by the Belarusian President Lukashenko and Russian President Vladimir Putin at the talks in Minsk. The Minsk talks went on for more than 12 hours Wednesday night at the Belarusian capital, as European leaders tried to broker a deal to end the fighting. The Minsk talks went on for more than 12 hours over Wednesday. It's still not clear what's happened, and obviously these talks were overshadowed by a surge in fighting. The leaders of France, Germany, Russia and Ukraine were due to attend a peace summit on Wednesday, with Ukraine's pro-Moscow separatists tightening the pressure on Kiev by launching some of the war's worst fighting in an assault on a government garrison. Rebels tore up a 5-month-old truce in January, trying to encircle government troops in Debaltseve, a strategic location that would let them link up their main strongholds. Fighting has already killed more than 3,000 people, and Washington is now openly talking of arming Ukraine to defend itself from Russian aggression. Summit is being held in neighboring Belarus. My conclusions are Vladimir has taken a fearful hammering from the 21st century oil war specialist Barack Obama, but on the ground, where hardware counts, Putin is routing the 7th central government now. And in fact, I'm sure it's now a question of the nature of Poroshenko's capitulation, and obviously he's not keen on doing that because it would lose him so much credibility back home. I'll put up an image of the pro-Russian separatists standing next to tanks on the outskirts of Horlivka. President Xi changes China. Very interesting article in Bloomberg, The Making of an Icon. Surrounded by soldiers at a garrison in Macau, Chinese President Xi Jinping shoulders a laser training rifle during an inspection on December the 20th and squeezes the trigger. He hits the target every time in footage broadcast on state television, prompting applause. This is Xi the hero, Xi the chief, more in line with Russia's Vladimir Putin than the understated image cultivated for China's collective leadership since paramount leader Deng Xiaoping. They wanted a strongman, somebody who could stand up to vested interests at home and who could stand on the international stage. He has that kind of personality and sense of mission. Xi reflects a leadership style that is gaining in some of the world's biggest emerging economies, a powerful and charismatic figurehead who mixes nationalism and autocracy to court popularity while imposing an economic and political agenda, like Putin in Russia or Erdogan in Turkey. Iconic status would give Xi the popular support to remodel the country while tackling unpopular issues such as population and property speculation. Delhi gives warning to Premier Modi. This is MK Badra Kumar. Election results of the Delhi poll last week were keenly awaited. Delhi has a larger-than-life significance in India's national politics. If a ruling party at the centre cannot win in Delhi, it somehow gets to be taken as a warning that the national mood disfavours it. Delhi is a microcosm of India, and the crushing defeat that the ruling party at the centre, BJP, has suffered in Delhi, winning just 3 seats out of 70, ought to ring alarm bells in the mind of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Modi understood well that the stakes were high and therefore unusual for a Prime Minister, took a hands-on role. The string of BJP electoral successes that Modi masterminded since winning the general election last May to the Indian Parliament has been punctuated. The aura of invincibility around Modi's political persona is dissipating. Politics anywhere, especially in India, is a matter of perceptions, and the country took note today that Modi can be defeated. Put up an image that Rashtrapati tweeted President Mukherjee and Narendra Modi with the President of Singapore and Mrs. Mary Tan at the ceremonial welcome this morning. And of course, in Delhi stands Humayoun's tomb. And you know the story by now. When Humayoun was still a young man, he fell seriously ill. Day by day, his condition grew worse until death seemed imminent. The most eminent doctors were called in, but no one was able to cure him. They all said his days were numbered. Many people prayed to Allah for Humayoun's recovery. Then a saint came to Babur and said, if you make a great sacrifice, if you sacrifice something most precious to you, only then will your son be cured. The emperor asked, what kind of thing should I sacrifice? The saint replied, give away the Kohinoor diamond, it is most precious. But Babur said, the Kohinoor is my son's possession. What kind of sacrifice would that be? I have to sacrifice something of my own. I have so much wealth and such a vast kingdom, but the most precious Kohinoor diamond is not mine. Therefore, I cannot sacrifice it. And even if I did own the Kohinoor, it would not be a real sacrifice to give it away. Even if I were to give away all my wealth and power, my entire kingdom, I do not think that this is the most precious sacrifice that I could make. My life alone is most precious. There is nothing dearer to me than my own life. Humayoun is my eldest and dearest son. I am ready to give up my life for my son. After saying this, the emperor folded his hands and circled his dying son's bed 3 times, praying to Allah. He said, Allah, everybody is telling me to offer you the most precious thing, so that you will kindly save my son's life. I feel that my life is the most precious thing I have to offer. Please take my life instead of my son's. Let me die in his place and let him live on earth. This is my only prayer and my most willing sacrifice. To Babur's wide surprise, after he completed 3 rounds, his son stood up completely well, but immediately Babur fell deathly ill. In currency markets, the euro's had a big bounce. I've been watching it here, 113.40 last, but still capped by this 113.50 level. Dollar index 94.96, Japanese yen 120.33, Swissy 0.9293, pound 152.20, Aussie 0.7654, India rupee 62.504, South Korean 111.0933, Real 286.95. That's endured a massive move. Egyptian pound 763.10 and South African rand 1183.60. Big move in the rand. Dollar yen, I'll put up a 1-month chart. Look at that move over 120. Dollar index 94.97, trading last when I checked, and I think it's just getting going, and it's going a lot higher. On that note, I'll put up a photograph of the shark in Dubai Mall. Euro dollar, we've had a little bit of a bounce here to 113.40. I can't see it holding. I think 113.50 is key resistance and will break down again. It's headed to parity in my view. Tullow Oil suspended its final dividend as low oil prices handed the explorer in Africa an annual loss. The company reported a net loss, 1.56 billion for 2014, following a profit of $169 million a year before. We have reset our business and are focusing our capital expenditure on high quality, low cost oil production in West Africa. EV shot down the possibility of a takeover of the company. The business is set for growth. Tullow will focus exploration on basin opening wells in Kenya, Norway and Suriname. And I wrote about this on the 31st of December when I said Tullow Oil and Africa Oil are hoping for a Hail Mary pass. And I said I haven't seen any prediction that got what I think is going to happen, where we're going to see oil stay at $50 on average for the next 24 months. I wrote about this also on the 17th of November when I said dwindling oil fortunes are not good for Kenya. Crude oil has had a bounce. It's now trading at $50.42, up 3%. I think it's going to sub 40 as I've done for a while. Gold, that's had a nice bounce as well, 12.28 trading last. Real, look at this move. I'll put up a 1-year chart, really dramatic move. Coming to Africa, I think a lot of money that was destined for Lagos has been rerouted to Nairobi, Cairo and Johannesburg, and I think that's what's underpinning our markets at the moment. South African oil share up 4.7% year to date, its best start of the year in more than a decade. That's a pretty impressive performance, I must say. The IMF said on Wednesday that Egypt's structural and monetary reforms were starting to produce a turnaround in the economy. The measures implemented so far, along with some recovery in confidence, are starting to produce a turnaround. So that's a positive report. The Egyptian stock market is the best performing stock market in Africa, up 9.5% year to date. Dealers, and this is Nigeria, use unofficial circuit breaker for first time in Nigeria. Nigerian dealers pulled the plug on electronic trading. And the Naira on Wednesday, after the currency slid past 200 to the dollar, they deployed circuit breakers for the first time, halted trade after the Naira dropped more than 2%. At its weakest, it was quoted at a record low of 204.25. There is panic because of the postponement of elections. Uncertainty caused by the delay has been priced in the value of the Naira and is causing further depreciation of the currency. Nigerian shares fell for the third straight day on Wednesday. Indexes dropped 16% since the start of the year. Another sign of strain on the financial system, rate banks charge each other for overnight lending spiked to 100% this week. The tighter the liquidity to maintain the currency at current levels, the less likely JP Morgan is to keep them in the index. Last year, the central bank spent an average of $20 million a day defending the Naira, burning through 20% of its reserves. And somebody else asking, having used the security forces to shift the election, what's to stop them saying there will be no election, he said. Nigeria oil share down 17.13%, worst performing index in 2015. I'll put up an image that Jamie from Reuters tweeted. Nigeria's Naira down 8 days in a row, longest losing streak since the Russian crisis in 1998. And we learned that the interbank market was suspended, that the Naira hit 205. Traders were in an emergency meeting. Market reopened much later. I said that FMLE had a finger in the dike strategy and that the currency was headed to 220 on January the 21st. Forwards are now trading much further than that. Ghana Stock Exchange down 4.88% year to date. EABL rallied 1.25% yesterday. It's up 5.194% ahead of its first half earnings release tomorrow. East African Cables reported full year profit after tax was down 14.327. I'll put up the share price is up. The details of the results are up on rich wrap-ups. Turnover up 13.22%, profit before tax down 13.31%. Interestingly, they're paying out a shilling in dividend out of an earnings per share of 1.16, which was down 14.327% versus the previous year. Despite a decline in London metal exchange prices of 12%, our group revenue grew by 13%, attributable to increased volumes driven by new markets. Earnings decline was due to reduced margins in our new markets. Home Africa, by the way, and I forgot to mention this, pulled, and they were trying to sell a bond, and they pulled it. And that's the first situation we've seen of that type. Kenya shilling 91.662. Nairobi all share up 4.42% year to date, has closed at a record every day this year. NSE 20 every day this week. NSE 20 up 4.25% year to date and at 4.5-month highs. Love this blog that Martin tweeted to me, Fishing the Lakes of Mount Kenya, Lois and Leakey, keen fishermen inspired by Ninian's fishing tales. Go to the high altitude lakes of Mount Kenya. Mountain is over 17,000 feet high, wild and beautiful. Only a few people have had the privilege of casting on these waters. Look at the fish that they found. Pretty good stuff. And on that note, I'll finish off today's podcast with the peaks of Mount Kenya seen from the slopes of Mount Kenya Safari Club, taken 420 days ago. Once again, thank you for stopping by.